And good evening, good evening, good evening. And if you're looking at us right now, you know what time it is. You know it's GameFace time. I'm Richard DeRazer Ewing. My counterpart next to me is Matt, none the wiser wise. We do this every Monday evening. And as you probably know, Matt, before I get started, I got to go to the questions.
Get them.
So if you're trying to figure out how to get the recipe for that new squash dish, you're on the wrong podcast. And if you're trying to figure out what's the best type of manure for your vegetable garden, you're on the wrong podcast. However, if you're trying to get insight into sports here in the San Francisco Bay Area, you just put your game face on. And if you're trying to get insight of sports on a national level, once again, you put your game face on. As I said before, I'm Richard DeRace Ewing. He's Matt, none the wiser wise. Matt, what do we got?
Well, I will start the show. I will tip my cap. I will show my balding hair in great honor and respect for the great Willie Mays, who turned 90 this last week.
Hey, kid.
Hey, kid, man. What can you say? Like doing it the right way, playing baseball the right way. And we are blessed. We're blessed here in the Bay Area. Giants first place, A's first place, Earthquakes 3-1. Warriors are in the 8th spot for the playoffs, tied with Memphis, and for the possibility of a 7-8 matchup against the Lakers. It's looking like right now. There's a lot going on in the Bay Area. A lot if you're a sports fan, a Bay Area sports fan. A lot to be really, really pleased with right now. And I told you a couple weeks ago that the Warriors were going to make it into the playoffs. They're going to make it in the playoff game. I said I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is.
Okay.
And I didn't put my money where my mouth is. And now I'm ready to do it. I'm ready. The Warriors are going to make this playoff push. They're going to get in the 8th seed against the Lakers in the 7th seed. They're going to do that this new play-in game. And by winning the Lakers, they will guarantee themselves the 7th seed. And I'm going to go put my money. I'm going to go do it. I'm going to go do it over at betonline.ag. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. BetOnline has you covered for all your sports scores and odds. It's the best place for your bets, and it's free to sign up. Head to the website betonline.ag or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50%, not 25%, not 30%, 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, your online sports book experts.
All right, so y'all out there, you think you know what it takes to win? Then go to betonline.ag. Like I said before, man, hey, if I was a gambling man, me and my wife and family would be sleeping outside because I don't know how to pick them. So
I only know how to pick wives. I won that lottery, and I'm not willing to bet the rest of my life on sports.
Yeah, there you go. I'm still scratching my head on my wife lottery. But anyway, so we have the game a couple of nights ago against OKC, and Steph is being Steph. But I don't care what anyone says. There was a series of shots that he took that were just unbelievable. When he hit the first two, I thought, okay, but dude, those last two shots, they were well beyond 35 feet. And he buried both of them. And I thought, it's almost like what Steve Kerr said. He said, I've been watching this show for a long time now. He said, but I still get thrills from watching him do what he does. And that's the way I felt like last night when I watched him hit those last two shots. It's like I've seen him do this so many times, but it just doesn't get boring. I don't get tired of it. I'm still like that little giddy kid when he hits a shot. I'm just like, man, dude, this guy is amazing, dude. And it's crazy because what do we know? We know in the first 30 games of this season, the talk of the MVP was, Joker, okay?
Yeah.
He was the talk about MVP, and with good reason because he's putting up great numbers. But now all of a sudden, Steph is in the conversation, which is amazing in its own right. But when we think about it, it really isn't because it's Steph.
we shouldn't be surprised. He definitely is, in my opinion, top 3 in the MVP race. I have a feeling he's probably going to sneak out the scoring championship this year. He's playing at a really, really extremely high level, and I say it a lot because I really, really believe it, and it does not happen often. But we're watching greatness. We're watching a legend. We're watching one of the greats to ever play the game right now. I'm not saying the greatest, but I'm saying he's one of the greatest, and he's doing it without much of a supporting cast, without Kelly Oubre, without some big time secondary scorers. He's doing it, by himself. Draymond Green's not getting a ton of points, and then not only that is he doing it, with not a ton of contribution up and down the lineup. You don't know who you're going to get it from, the scoring from. But he revealed the other day he's doing it with a fractured or a broken tailbone. This man's out there balling fools up with a broken tailbone. He's out there taking double, triple, quadruple teams when he with or without the ball with the broken tailbone, and he's easily scoring 30 points a night in 3 quarters worth of work. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's video game mode.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And the interesting thing is that, Bradley Beal's out right now with a hamstring. And so it was either going to be Steph or Bradley Beal for the scoring title. But with Bradley Beal out right now, it's like Steph can pretty much take full advantage of the situation. And that's exactly what he's doing. I saw him the other night, did this, behind the back, crossover, and just went right by and, got airborne, went to lay the ball in, but he arced his shoulder, basically just enough to be able to get by the guy and kiss it off the glass. I mean,
and the backspin, because he was so far under the hoop as he went to throw the backspin he used. The guy's unbelievable. Listen, I was at my father-in-law, my mother-in-law's house celebrating Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers out there. We're celebrating Mother's Day for my wife's mom, my mother-in-law, and my father-in-law, Marcos Hernandez, shout out, huge Warriors fan. And he was rewinding the game 3 or 4 times just because he couldn't believe what he was seeing, what Steph was doing. And it was so impressive. And here I was, I'm watching the Warriors game, and I'm streaming the Canelo fight, and I'm watching these bums fight for 8 rounds in a rigged fight, it felt like, because it was and I'm watching the Warriors game, and there's no comparison. Boxing, no comparison. The Warriors game blows out of the water. Steph Curry watching one of the greatest do it right now, and we should just sit back and appreciate it.
Yeah, no question about it. And I tell you, so most of the fans here who watch our show, they're probably gonna be mad at me when I say this, but I'm not a big boxing fan. It's sad because I used to be, but I was watching boxing when it was boxing. Okay, when 2 men got in the ring, 15 rounds, best man come out. That was when you had Muhammad Ali, you had Joe Frazier, you had
when boxers fought each other.
Yeah.
When boxers didn't run or they weren't trying to fight for money. When boxing was about who's the best, baddest mofo in the gym.
Right.
Who's the best?
Right. Ken Norton Jr. is another guy I think about. Just all these, they were, in my opinion, that's what you would call prize fighters. That's what they were.
Shout out to the biggest Bay Area prize fighter, Irish Mike Jameson, who I've had the privilege of knowing and fought Mike Tyson and Holyfield. He fought some of the biggest foremen. And that's my hero, man. He may not have been the greatest, but he was there putting in the work. Shout out Mike Jameson. Boxing. If we're talking boxing, that's about it, because now boxing, I'm sorry, man. That fight was a snooze fest.
Yeah, I'm just not a big boxing fan. I stopped becoming a boxing fan when Evander Holyfield got bit by Mike Tyson. After that, I stopped watching. I just stopped
boxing. They turned into cannibals.
Yeah, it's like look, y'all might as well just and UFC just disgusts me. I'm sorry, I can't get into it. You're taking 2 pit bulls and put them in the ring. Why don't you just okay? So.
It's brutal. Hey, it's brutal. Don't get me wrong, it is brutal. But like, there is, in my opinion, that's gladiator. That's gladiator.
Yeah, that's gladiator.
And I get it. It's a little bit medieval for some people. But
I can't get into it. I can't.
It's it's tough when you see a guy's leg snap in half like a toothpick. It's really not super entertaining at that point.
No, it's not. It's not. So we were talking about Steph Curry. We're talking about the Warriors, and
So don't watch boxing. Don't watch UFC. Turn on the Warriors game. Watch the greatest basketball player you've ever seen, Steph Curry, play the Golden State Warriors.
You heard it first. You heard it first on GameFace. Matt NoneTheWiser putting it out there. But we were talking about also the supporting cast of Golden State. You got Jordan Poole. You got Michael Mulder. You got JTA, Juan Toscano Anderson. You know, these have been step-up guys just over the last 5 games. These guys have been stepping it up. They've been hitting shots. They've been contributing in other areas. Basically, what they've been doing is the Warriors right now are playing as a team right now. They're playing as a team. I mean, these guys are contributing wherever they can. And that is the culture that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and the front office and Kerr have put together. That's the reason why they're winning games. It's because they're playing like a team. You know, guys contribute. When they had Andre Iguodala, hey, we know Andre Iguodala's an all-star, but Andre Iguodala was willing to come off the bench. See, that type of mentality, that's the Warriors culture. And, you know, I think about the fact that, you know, KD came, did his thing. He was KD, but he had to leave because it wasn't about him. And my whole deal is this. If you compare Steph Curry to guys like, say, you know, Harden, Durant, even Russell Westbrook, who tonight, shout out to Russell Westbrook, he did surpass Oscar Robertson this evening for the most triple doubles ever made. But even in that game, they lost. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why did that happen? It happened because these guys get into these teams they started playing, and they're focusing on, oh, well, it's all about me. And Steph's not doing that. Steph's just going out and playing, but he's trying to get everybody involved. In other words, he realizes that, hey, at the end of the day, yes, I have a skill set that does allow me to contribute more than others. However, this is a team sport. We have to play a team. Everybody has to contribute. Otherwise, they're not going to win games. And tonight was the end result from that when you watch the Russell Westbrook situation, because it came down to the last shot. And Westbrook brought it down, pulled up for the jumper, missed. See? It's like, hey, once again, who was it about? It was about him. Right. And that's the reason why they lost.
No, it's the ultimate team sport. I mean, and you look at what the Warriors are doing, while it may not be consistently from some of the same guys, they're getting contribution from different guys every single night. And it's next man up approach and next man stepping up, and he's giving solid minutes, whether it's Bazemore lately or JTA getting more run or whatever it is. These guys are coming up and giving them huge minutes. Shout out to JTA for getting a big time legit NBA contract and no longer on a 2-way 10-day contract. So shout out to Oakland native Juan Toscano Anderson. Dude seems like a class act, is out there balling his butt off every single night. He's exciting, man. But you know, he's not a super big 6th man of the year type guy. Maybe he can be, but he's a good piece right now for what the Warriors are doing. So we'll see what happens. Once you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. Anything. So, and you got Steph Curry. Who's to say he doesn't have another month where he scores 95 or 100 3-pointers in a month? Yeah. You do that in a playoff run, you're going to be pretty hard to beat. So it's exciting. At least we're competitive. They're competitive.
Well, it's not just that. I think one of the things I heard from one of the local sports shows, which was very spicy when I heard it, I was like, wow, okay. But he said that really when it comes down to it, nobody wants to play the Warriors. I don't care where they're seated, because really at the end of the day, they might not get, far in the playoffs, but they could take out somebody. okay. And that's the problem. If you're the Lakers, or if you're Utah, or if you're Portland, and you got a chance to make it to the finals, and now you got to meet Steph Curry and the Warriors, it's like, oh man, get back.
They are the king, right? The king of the NBA, LeBron James, right. The king, right? Mm-hmm. He's petrified to have to face the Warriors. He hates this play, and he thinks it's stupid. Who came up with this thing? It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. He wasn't complaining last year
No.
But he's complaining this year because right now they are looking at down the barrel of a Steph Curry 3-point flurry in the playoffs because they're matched up right now to play the Warriors. And it in that 7-8 seeding, they 7-8 play each other. If whoever wins, they go on, they become the 7th seed. The loser now has to go play the 9-10 seed just to get their 8th seed for the playoff.
Right.
And then now the playoffs begin. So the Lakers are super scared. LeBron James is crying all over. He's so scared.
So we're gonna go ahead and move to the MLB because you and I were talking before the show, and one of the things we have pointed out right now out here out west, MLB basketball in 2020 basketball. Excuse me, listen to me. MLB baseball in 2021 is amazing right now. You got the Giants who are in first place in the NL West. You got the Oakland A's. They're in first place in the AL West. And who'd have thunk it? You know, who'd have thought that both these teams would be in first place in the opening of the season? Nobody did. Nobody picked. Everybody knew that the A's would be competitive because they do that every year.
Correct.
But nobody had the Giants in first place now. That just wasn't being discussed.
Not a soul. Not a soul. Nobody, and not only did nobody have the Giants in first place, myself included. I will put myself in that category. Everybody had them buried behind the Padres and the Dodgers. So if wherever they would be, everybody's saying that the best they would be is third place. And look at what they've done. Look at what Dave Kapler's doing. Look at what that pitching staff's doing. Look at what those grizzly old veterans are doing for the Gigantes. It really is exciting, honestly.
They don't have Yastrzemski back yet. Okay, this is the other part of it. They don't have any breakout superstars right now. They don't. But they got the usual crew. They got Posey. They got Cueto. They got Brandon Belt. They got Brandon Crawford. These are the very guys that they were saying last year. Hey, you know what? We're gonna dish these guys contracts. We're paying them too much money.
We held on to them too long.
Yeah, we held on to them too long, and they ain't producing. Well, guess what? All those guys that said that, you got to eat your words. Because these guys are producing now, and I mean they're producing big time.
And they're all three of those: Belt, Crawford, and Posey. Posey's leading the team in home runs. Posey's actually like 6th in the league in home runs. Posey's got a 400 batting average, which is just ridiculous. And Crawford and Belt have, I think, 7 home runs apiece. They're second and third on the team, and then you got Longo right there with 4 home runs, and you got Slater with 4. So. I mean, a lot of the guys are swinging the bats well. Doobie swinging the bat well. Ruff swinging the bat when he gets his chances. They're all, just swinging the bat really well at the right time. And it's really exciting to watch. I took my son to the game against the Marlins, and I've honestly never had more fun at a baseball game in my entire life.
Well, you can stop saying that Brandon Belt's got 7 because he now has 8 because he just hit a solo.
He hit one tonight.
Yeah, he just hit a solo home run just now.
Yeah.
So, but I think the other thing that you got to ask yourself too is, there were questions about, beginning of last season, if Farhan Zaidi actually knew what he was doing as far as handling of the contracts. The fact he brought in Gabe Kapler, that was an issue. Nobody really knew if that was going to work well. Well, now we're looking at Mr. Kapler different. We're looking at Farhan Zaidi different. We're looking at this franchise differently. And I'll tell you something. The MLB right now has to be surprised by what's happening in San Francisco. If they say they're not, they're lying. Okay. As far as the A's go, we expected more from the A's in the beginning, and we didn't get that. But you talk about a total recall happening in Oakland, because once they got on that losing, those guys woke up. They were like, look, okay, you know what? This losing thing, look, we're getting tired of that. Okay, look. And now it's like, hey, you know what? Now you see the Oakland A's that we all know can do, that goes out there and competes and leaves it out there on the field. So, yeah, like you said, if you're in the Bay Area right now, you should be happy. You should be very happy.
Not happy. We should feel privileged. We should feel privileged. We should feel spoiled. We should feel Proud of the organizations that we're fans of that they're putting competitive teams on the field, even when we as fans are like, oh my gosh, the Giants have no hitting. Well, eat your words, Matt, because that's all they're doing is raking right now. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. And the A's are playing beautiful baseball. You gotta tip your cap to Mora, the manager, Melvin, just doing a really, really bang up job with that team and not panicking the first 3 series of the season, knowing that you had Houston, Dodgers, Houston, and it was going to be a tough opening to the season, and you stuck with it. And then you strung off 10, 12 in a row, whatever it was. That's impressive.
Yeah, very impressive. And then you had talked about this earlier too. We got to talk about the San Jose Earthquakes. These guys are coming out of nowhere. They're just rolling, man. I was surprised to hear that on the radio. I was driving and I heard that the Quakes were what is their
3-1, 3-1, tied for first place. Listen, here's a throwback for you. Chris Wondolowski. I been around forever. Dude, scoring goals, doing big things for the Earthquakes. I love it.
How long has Wondolowski been in the league?
100 years, maybe. Maybe 101. I don't know. He's been in a long time. He deserves it. Let me see. I'll pull it up right here. Chris Wondolowski.
Yeah, his nickname is Wando.
Wando. Let's see, for the season. Yeah, it doesn't show it. It'll take too long to find it. Oh, I'll have to find it. But really, really fun, really great. And not to mention that if we're talking lower tier Bay Area sports like San Jose Earthquakes, who will soon be a top tier Bay Area sports team, I'll put my money on betonline.ag.
Bet online for that.
Yeah. But not only that, hey, shout out to the San Jose State Spartans for getting that Mountain West championship ring this last week. I saw a post on Facebook. That thing was fresh.
Hey man, loving it.
I am petitioning anybody that will listen. I want one of those rings. Those things are dope.
Well, I tell you something. You probably want to take a look at the Stanford women's NCAA championship ring. That's not something to shake a stick at either. That thing, you see that thing? Shoot, that looked like Tar was going to be walking around like this, dude. Trying to can't even raise her hand because.
Hey, Chris Wondolowski's been in MLS for the San Jose Earthquakes since 2009.
Wow, that's a wow.
Wow, that's 12. That's
Yeah.
Shout out to Wando.
Yeah.
Blast from the past, Wando. Love it.
Amazing story. Amazing. So, I wanted us to. This is the hardest part of the show, but we got to talk about it. We got to stick a fork in the San Jose Sharks. Their season's done. They I think it was last week they still had a chance, but it was like they lost 2 in a row. And then it was kind of like, okay, you know what? And it was like mathematically they still had a chance, but in order for them to win, the impossible had to happen. And everybody knew it was like, okay, look, what they had to do to get in anything, it just no. In other words, they were like, was it 3 other teams had to lose like 7 in a row or something like that. And that was just like, okay, dude, that's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So
they needed what was referred to in biblical times as a miracle.
Yeah,
they needed a miracle on ice. They needed a 1985 miracle on ice, and it just wasn't in the cards for the Sharks this season. No. And I feel terrible for Patty Marleau because I kind of just want him to go out, maybe one more run, see how far they can push it.
Right.
But you know what? Hey, he passed Gordie Howe this year. So shout out to Patty Marleau. Exceptional career. And you've made we're proud as Sharks fans that you were one of ours.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something, really just a tough competitor. I think of guys like Joe Thornton, that's another one, very stiff competitor, still playing by the way, too, up in Toronto.
Owen Nolan, Jeff Friesen,
right.
Archers Urbe,
right.
Baker, I mean, some greats have been
Yeah,
there.
yeah, they have. They've all done.
Ricci, you got Ricci, you
Yeah,
got
yeah,
Ronick, man. I mean, those
yeah,
teams
yeah.
were like those teams I thought were gonna do it, and they just never do it. But like those were fun teams.
Yeah, they were. They were entertaining, no question about it. And really, when it comes on, it's kind of one of them situations where all you can do is sit back and think, man, what could have been, you know?
Mhm.
So we got about roughly 6-7 minutes left here, and I want to touch on something that came up this week, and it's talk about the possibility of the Niners re-signing Richard Sherman. Um, I'm kind of stuck on that. In other words, I don't really have one side versus the other because on one hand, I respect Richard Sherman, the player. He's a very, very stiff competitor, knows the game. I just think that bringing him back right now, I don't think it'd be unless they make him a free safety. Okay, that's the only way I can see him do it. Because if he tries to play corner, dude, he's just gonna get burnt. And he lost a step. Okay, and there's an age-old proverb, we talk about it all the time. Nobody's more unbeaten than Father Time. Okay, so and in this case, that's what's going on. Father Time's gotten the best of the situation, and if I'm defensive coordinator for the Niners, I'm thinking, look, we'd like to bring you back. We want to bring you back as a free safety. And if he says no to that, then I don't think you bring him back because you want to have a person out there that can not only contribute to what's going on at the field, but also elevate the team. So he can elevate the team. Why? Because he's an all-pro cornerback. He's played the game for many years. He's got a Super Bowl ring, so he can inspire the younger guys. But if he's not contributing on the field, that's not going to inspire the guys because they're going to look and say, "Well, you're telling us what we should do, and that's how to go. You can't do it yourself."
No, I think it's quite. I mean, I honestly think it's quite the opposite. I mean, Richard Sherman is the consummate professional. For whatever all the antics you want to say and all the talk off the field and whatnot, I perceive that man as a professional football player, and I think that in the position the 49ers are with making a transition on the defensive side of the ball, a really, really big transition. You lost your defensive coordinator. We kind of forget that and all that's gone on this offseason, but Robert Saleh is now no longer the defensive coordinator. And what's going to happen? Is it going to be the same scheme? Are they going to tweak the scheme? Having a guy like Richard Sherman is more valuable to your team, what he can do for them off the field, than maybe what he can do for on the field himself.
And I don't disagree with you there. But what I'm saying is this: what do we know? We know that Richard Sherman is going to want to play. He's going to want to play. That's always been his MO. If he's on the team, he's playing. Okay. And I'm saying, I think you're right. I agree with you. I think he could contribute a lot more to the team while he's not on the field. Okay.
But let him earn his spot. Like if he thinks he can play still, let him go out there and try.
Well, no, I think if he can earn the spot, sure. I just feel like at the end of the day, I don't believe he can because
put him on an island one-on-one on the corner is going to be tough.
It's going to be tough for him because, like I said, you got guys, Deebo Samuel's coming back, Brandon Ayuk is coming back, and I forgot the other receiver that
you have Jalen Hurd.
Jalen Hurd is also. They're saying that he's looking like he's going to actually have a full season for the first time
in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. And I'm just saying, those guys are fast. Okay, they can run. Okay, and I just don't see him in the corner spot covering those guys. I see it maybe 2-3 games, and after that, I think he's going to pull something.
Well, let's see. I mean, even if that's the case, then you have a Grizzly veteran in your room, in your secondary room, that can break down film better than anybody else in that room.
That's right. And that's where he could, like you said, off the field, he could be more of an asset.
But I still think he can give you something on the field. Yeah, maybe it's in a nickel formation. Maybe it's as a free safety. Maybe it's spot playing him here and there, or putting him on a third receiver, not a first or secondary receiver. I think there's still value there. He's still out there. You might as well make a run at it. What do you really have to lose? He's not going to be a problem in the locker room.
No. If anything, he's going to be an energizer for everybody in the locker room.
Right. So what do you have to lose?
Yeah. I saw something today that kind of made me cringe, and I couldn't believe it, but it actually said
it was that Canelo fight. That Canelo fight made me cringe.
Okay, I didn't watch the fight because, like I said, I hate boxing. So,
well, I'm telling you, you're a smarter man than I am.
But I saw something where, and I don't know if this is half the stuff you kind of wonder in the back of your mind. Are these guys throwing this up in the air to see what sticks? You know what I mean? Because
I want to see the two sources.
Yeah, I didn't even look up at the source, but it said this is what the word said. It was on the Google page. Are the Niners going to release Raheem Mostert? And I went, I was like, really? You really believe that? I was like, I would tell you right now, if the Niners release Raheem Mostert, they might as well trade Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, it's not. It just doesn't why? It doesn't make any sense. No. I mean, you just renegotiated to give him more money last year. He's proved to be a valuable asset. He had a good season last year. They just shut him down because why risk an injury to one of your running backs? I don't know. I don't get that, and I won't co-sign that one.
Well, no, absolutely not. I'm just telling you what I saw. I don't believe it, but I saw it, and when I saw it, I thought, okay, you guys must just be trying to sell or get eyeballs on a web page or something, because that doesn't make no sense. Okay,
that would be like if we got on here and said, "Oh, we heard reports that they're going to trade or they're just going to release George Kittle." He's had a few injuries the last couple of years. They're worried about that he's going to be injury prone. They're going to release him. Hey, clickbait! Subscribe to GameFace podcast. George Kittle's being traded. That is so ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't understand where it came from, why they would even, post something like that. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. Unless
you're trading him for Aaron Rodgers and then you have a three-headed monster in the quarterback room, then I'm not believing it.
Yeah. It just at the end of the day, it's like I said, I think what these guys do is they throw stuff up and wait to see what happens when it comes down. But yeah, that just didn't make any sense. But I did see it. It was inside. It was on the Google webpage. But it just, like I said, I don't understand. I don't know what it's about. None of it makes any sense.
Don't worry, fans. Yeah, Niner fans. The Niners have the team that they want for next year. They have a plan. They will go out and execute that plan, and we will get to bask in the victory and the glory and joy of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch's grand and masterful plan. So fret not. No one is being traded. We got our team.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna let him go either. Well, we're coming up where we're gonna have to say goodnight. But I will say this much. You're in the Bay Area. You should be happy. You should be happy. You should be kicking in your boots right now when it comes to Bay Area sports. But as I stated before, I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. He's Matt, NoneTheWiser Wise. This is GameFace. By the way, if you subscribe on our YouTube channel, you will get one of these. Okay? This
GameFace t-shirt.
Our official GameFace t-shirt. And when you subscribe, please leave contact information so we can send you your t-shirt. Your t-shirt will be free. And also come with care instructions. And make sure you follow the care instructions, because you can actually ruin your shirt. You don't want to do that. So once again, I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. He's Matt, NoneTheWiser Wise. This has been GameFace. You can come in, you can put your feet up. You can even sit down and have a drink. But if you do, you better have your game face on.
I'm Canelo.